Today, we finish off our series against the Dallas Mavericks. We come in with the advantage, holding a 3-2 lead, but Dallas was victorious in the most recent game. They have the momentum. The other three round 2 matchups have already been decided. So, we will face off to find out who has the honor of playing the San Antonio Spurs for a trip to the finals. For the most part, I think the strategy is going to be the same. I believe what we do works more often than not. Again, we do have a 3-2 lead, but we have gotten blown out a couple of times. We really, I think, to win the series, need to win Game 6. A Game 7 on the road, with Dallas having won 2 in a row and 3 out of the last 4, I think that's pretty tough. But we have a home game here to start this episode. It's imperative that we win it, or I do believe Dallas is going to overtake us, and that would be a pretty massive collapse by our Vegas Venom. What's going to happen here is if this ends up being decided in 6, I will try and go over some stats and things to try and extend the episode so that the episode length won't totally give away whether or not it went to 6 and 7. I probably can't go over stats enough to take the entire time of a whole game, but that's going to kind of be the plan. So try and not get clues there, because I'm going to do everything I can to avoid spoilers with my, thumbnail, title, everything. But the episode length will kind of give it away. So just don't look at it. Don't look at the comments prior to watching. I would recommend, if you want to avoid any spoilers as to the results. Well, let's finish this series off. All right, then. Let's find out if this is going to go to Game 7. I really would prefer it not to, because last time we were in Dallas, it didn't quite go too well for us. But for Game 6, we have the hometown crowd behind us, cheering us on, and you really, really don't want to blow a 3-1 lead. Good career record that Jason Kidd has built this deep into the fantasy, for sure. The series. This isn't fantasy basketball. This is 2K basketball. Let's get this game underway. Will Burke finding an open Connor Irving in the corner. Off of a transition look, Dallas lost him. Weber now bounce pass to Ken Nixon. A good closeout by Cooper Flagg. On the offensive glass, though, Will Burke gets his first points up and in. Zion taking it right to Connor Irving. We've seen as this series has gone on, Zion's gotten more aggressive, and that's really been to Dallas's benefit. I thought about switching the assignment off of Connor Irving, but I'm just hoping that Connor can pull out a performance like he had in games 1 or 2 and try and slow him down. That flag layup blocked by Burke, but into the hands of Derek Lively, and Dallas couldn't make the most of their second chance opportunity. Zion taking it to Will Burke and pulls it up as the shot clock was coming to a close. Pushing ahead, though, in transition, Will Burke beats the Dallas defense down the court and is rewarded with a pinpoint pass from Nixon. Catch and shoot on the wing. Jaden Hardy off the assist from Malik Monk. Hardy, same spot, looking for the same result. This time he missed it, but Zion with a powerful flush on a putback dunk. Connor Irving backing down Malik Monk. Nice play there from the rookie, taking the screen from the big man. Flag kind of hesitated there, and it got Nixon in a bad defensive stance. Burke just didn't do anything there to create any separation from Lively. Gets blocked embarrassingly, and Cooper Flagg in the corner on the other end gives the Mavs a lead. Nixon with the left hand goes up for the dunk. Great play there, and it worked so well last time. Will Burke thought he'd try the exact same move. Unfortunately, it came up with the exact same result. I don't know what he was really hoping for there. Nixon, though, gets by Flagg on the drive. Would love to have Nixon figure out how to get by Cooper Flagg. And speaking of, gets him stumbling on that drive. Irving shutting down Zion, ends up with the block as the shot clock was winding down. Nixon going the other way, spinning. But Flagg got there defensively. Now Finley on the wing. He'll take a screen from Jarris Walker, and he slams it down with two hands. Burke this time, he's going to be the ball handler on the pick and roll. The crossover was sweet, and it leads to a layup. We don't really see drives from Will Burke that much, but I think that's something that he could unlock. The few times we have seen it, it's looked really good. Inside, Zion on the pick and roll, got loose. Finley with it on the wing. Oh, the step back, drops Malik Monk, and then he banks in the midi jumper. All right, Jack, I see you. Flagg pulls up. Off the dribble three, top of the key, drills it. 28-22 here, a couple minutes remaining in the first quarter, and the pull-up, silky smooth jump shot from Nixon. Pick and roll again for Rasheer Fleming on the receiving end. The addition of him basically just getting all the backup center minutes has been a good move by Dallas. Getting rid of, I think it was Isaiah Stewart as their previous backup center. 26-30 here. Dallas passes the ball around. A.J. Mitchell forced to put something up as the shot clock expires, and he drills it. Figures. Nixon to take the final shot here of the quarter. Couldn't really get any space against Flagg, though. So a 1-point gain after one. Could this be the first close game of the series? It's 3-2, but none of the games have really come down to the wire at all. Burke gets a double, and it leaves Jalen Williams open on the cut, and Burke finds him. And one for Jay Will. Burke, going to see him drive again. This time, he does get by Lively after a little bit of a post-up on the drive. Monroe checks into the game and splashes home a triple to tie us up. Zion. Guarded by Jay Will, probably not the best matchup for us. And dunks on his head. That was still an easy read to Finley, and then Paris Webb, in that spot. Zion making him look silly. So Will Burke gets an and one on the other end of the court here. Monroe. No good on that mid-range attempt off the screen. Burke passes it ahead to Paris Webb down low. Not just enough space to bring it home. Fader. Burke, smooth. Now we lead by 6. From the corner, Irving looking to set up a play for Paris Webb. He catches and fires one in for 3. Flagg left all alone. The double screen gave him plenty of space beyond the arc. That's a tough spot for Nixon to get around both of those screens, but he's going under again, and Flagg makes him pay again. Nixon pushing it up. Not really a great pass. A worse shot, but it somehow works out for Vegas. I don't know how that worked. From the corner. Flagg this time feeds the roller in Derek Lively, and the Flagg Lively pick and roll has been very tough for the Venom to stop here in the second. Nixon on the trot, able to just get the right angle, put in the layup over Cooper Flagg, and on the roll again, Derek Lively, recipient of another dunk. Under a minute left in the first half. Monroe misfires. Top of the key, and then a great pass from Jarris Walker. There was not a ton of space there for Weber in transition. Dallas has time for one more shot. It's going to be a Jaden Hardy triple. It's too long, and it's going to be 57 for the Venom and 53 for the Mavericks here at half. Will Burke with 17 points on 10 shots to lead the Venom. He also already has a double-double, Nixon also with 15 first half points. Pretty dang good. Zion, 18 first half points, but it just hasn't been enough for the Mavericks yet. But of course, still a very tight ball game. The 2 stars for both teams doing the heavy lifting on both sides. It's probably going to come down to which of these star duos will outperform the other in the second half. And Burke with some authority over Derek Lively. Irving. The double comes for him, and that's an easy opportunity for the pass out to Jarris Walker. Not sure I'd be doubling Connor Irving if I was Dallas, if I'm being honest. Although he does have some post ability at 6'10". You can take advantage of some mismatches. Jarris Walker on the roll. I mean, for a second it looked like Nixon was just passing it to nobody, but then Walker appeared out of nowhere. Burke backing down Lively. The up and under results in the easy basket. Timeout Dallas. Pick and roll. Hardy and Lively. Goes up top for Lively, just outside the stretched hands of Will Burke. Jarris already has 1-3 in the third. Looking for another. Won't get it, but Will Burke helps him out with the offensive rebound and layup. Burke. Ooh, a little bit of between the legs as he puts it up from the mid-range. That's, I believe, his go-to shot, which I think that's the first time I've seen him attempt it. His go-to jumper, at least. We've seen his go-to post move quite a few times. Nixon with the steal all alone. Will Burke in transition. Opts for the easy two-handed flush. Pick and roll. Lively again. This time lays it up. Not often do you see him do anything other than dunk. Pick and roll ball handler again is Will Burke. And man, oh man, I want to see this more often. Will Burke handling the ball, driving. He's just pretty good at it. And it's just not something that we ask him to do all that often. Hardy bounce pass inside. Zion with the flush. Remains a very tight ball game here. 5 minutes left in the third, just 4 points of difference. Nice move by Nixon, earns him the and one. It is not easy to shake Cooper Flagg, and he's done it a few times here in Game 6. Really turning up his scoring off the dribble for this one. And Jaden Hardy in transition. The man still has some elite poster ability. Pick and pop. Nixon gonna go at Cooper Flagg again. Cooper holding up, and he finds the roll man after quite some time. Initially it was a pick and pop, but then Williams ended up rolling after a while. Went off the catch. Nixon scores again. I think Zion just dribbled it off the knee of Jack Finley, who ends up with the steal in transition all alone. The big man just popped right there at the top of the key, and nobody on Dallas decided to guard him. And all of a sudden, the Venom lead by 14. This was a 4-point game with 5 minutes left to go in the quarter, and now the lead just continues to grow. The defense is clamped down. The offense is getting excellent looks like that one there from Nixon. And all of a sudden, what looks to be a very competitive ball game is looking like almost a surefire victory here as we head into the fourth quarter. Cooper Flagg will get to the free throw line before the end here, but 93-77 is the score after 3. It was 74-70, which means we went on a 19-7 run there to end the quarter, and it's put us in the driver's seat to finish this series off. And Jack Finley to the rack with some authority. Zion makes a good play, finding the open man in the corner. Dallas is going to need a few more of those 3 balls to get back in this one. Will Burke has the much shorter man on him in the post. Makes easy work for him. Zion going against Jay Will. That's definitely a matchup that he's taken advantage of a couple of times. And Zion's over 30 points in this game. Lively battles around with Will Burke, but Burke ends up with the steal. Not a great pass. And Burke the other way with the flush. Fouled by Lively. It's his 4th of the ball game. Something to monitor. And Williams gets the better of Zion that time around. With the block. Burke trying to finish off these Mavericks. Now it's 20 points. The difference. Looking to go back to Burke in the post. We do. Monroe just went for the steal because he knew he had no chance of getting the stop there. Now it's the Mavericks with a mismatch in the post. But the outcome from Williams. Lively doesn't pass it out, and it's the second block of the 4th quarter for Jay Will. And another interior basket by Will Burke, who's just been really unstoppable here in the 4th. Weber now trying to go at Monroe. There's only a couple seconds left on the shot clock. He ends up going underneath him for the scoop shot. Open in. 108-84. A trip to the Western Conference Finals just a few minutes away now. Weber in a lot of traffic that time. Couldn't get it to go. And A.J. Mitchell in transition. No good. He comes skying in for the putback slam. In the post, Burke. That fadeaway in the post has been money today, and it continues to be so. Burke, again, he's just been our go-to man all throughout the 4th quarter, and it was enough to secure the victory. Final score is 118-99. Another game that wasn't particularly close down the stretch. In a six-game series, no games, I think, decided in like the final 5 minutes. Everything you knew kind of either heading into the 4th quarter or very early into the 4th quarter who's going to win the game. I like the close games down the stretch, but ultimately the Venom complete their revenge over the Mavericks. Will Burke once again player of the game. He was player of the game in all 4 victories in the series. He was excellent. It was always going to be Will Burke leading the way in this one if we were going to win. That might change now that we are guaranteed a matchup with the Spurs and he'll have Wemby on him. But nearly a 50-piece here in Game 6, just 1 basket away, a double-double for Nixon. Also only had 1 turnover, so I really liked how Nixon played in this game. 14 assists from Jack Finley. Definitely a career high from him, and actually our playoff new team record in that stat. So great job by him. Both of our point guards ending up with double-digit assists. Just shows you how good we were moving the ball and getting good shots in this game. 38 for Zion was not enough. Derek Lively with a great double-double, but we shut down Cooper Flag in the second half, and that's what got us the dub. So it is official. It's a matchup that I've been hyping up really ever since we drafted Will Burke, but a postseason matchup against the San Antonio Spurs is here. I do think the Spurs are an even tougher matchup than the Mavericks are. I know the record would say otherwise, but the Spurs, I think, play better in watched games than the Mavericks, whereas the Mavericks sim better. This is a team that has Wembanyama, the hardest player to guard in 2K. It has Dylan Harper up to a 92. Steph Castle at an 89. Of course, Jonathan Outlaw in year 2 is an 86. Denny Advia, Carter Bryant, Vassell. No major injuries. They have one to their backup center here, but I think Jonathan Outlaw will probably be their backup center for this series. They have a really good 8-man lineup. I believe this is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. We're both going to be rocking 8-man lineups for this series. And on paper, the Spurs 8-man lineup is better than ours. The center point guard combo is close, but you probably have to give the edge to the Spurs for the 2 stars. And then Castle's better than anybody I think we have after that. Now he's more of a... He's not much of a shooter, so hopefully we can take advantage of that. He's more of an inside scorer and definitely a great defender and playmaker. Outlaw, though, I think is going to be tough to guard. Our power forwards are 6'7" and 6'6", while he's a 7-footer that can score at all three levels. He's actually developed into a pretty solid playmaker as well at B-. I think that'd be the tied for third highest on our whole team. The addition of Deni Avdia, I think, will be pretty interesting. Another good playmaker. Carter Bryant, 3 and D. Vassell, kind of 3 and D as well. Sexton, a good offensive guard to have off the bench. And guards that can create shots off the bench are usually a good way to go. That's why we have Jack Finley. So a really well-constructed team here in San Antonio. I want to go through what we've done so far in the playoffs before we sign off on this episode here. 33 points a game for Will Burke, 14 rebounds, 4.5 assists. If we look at just what he did in round 2, 36 points a game, 15 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 1.8 steals, and 2.7 blocks. He really came through for us. And we needed him to. Ken Nixon drew an extremely tough matchup. Still averaged 22, 5.5, and 7. Shot only 45% and 32% from deep, but he had probably the worst defensive matchup he can have. Like, he's going to have Steph Castle on him probably in the Western Conference Finals, I would imagine. Still not going to be as bad as Cooper Flagg. Steph Castle's an insanely good defender, but Cooper Flagg is tough. After that, the next was Connor Irving. He came through massive in Game 4 when we needed him. And overall, almost 52% from the field and 48% from 3 is really good efficiency. Then we have these guys all kind of grouped together between 9.7 and 8.7 were the 4 players, Weber, Walker, Finley, and Webb. They had very different efficiencies getting there. My game's really slow right now. It's kind of weird. 2 were at 41%, while the others were a lot more efficient. You know, the guards less efficient, the forwards more efficient. Could go to just how Dallas had their defenders playing, but worth noting, if we go back to the playoffs in general, and now my game's looking good, so just going by the second round apparently kind of had the game clogged up here. But we've got 6 guys averaging double figures in the postseason. That's pretty dang good. I think one of our struggles was being heavily reliant on the top 3 from years past. Burke, Nixon, and of course Anthony Simons back in the day. But now we're still relying on Burke and Nixon as we should. But who contributes after that can be a lot more varied than it has been in years past. And that really helps. And even Jarris is just below double figures here. So the only one that doesn't really hardly ever get double figures is Jalen Williams. I don't know if he's even done it once this playoffs, but that's fine. He also has the fewest minutes. Can we not see minutes per game here? Not sure we can. Let's look at some defensive stats here. So points allowed. Ken Nixon allows the most points. That's not super surprising. He was the guy, he's been tasked with guarding Luka and Cooper. So pretty tough. If you look at field goal, he's guarding the most field goal attempts by a really wide margin. What I like is Cooper defended the second most field goal attempts so far in the postseason, but he's all the way down at 5th in terms of points allowed. So He struggled at times against Zion, but for the most part, I think he's done good. He certainly started the series really well. Guarding Zion in those first 2 games, I was impressed. I think it's going to be a very interesting series against San Antonio. Let's see what they've done so far in the postseason. It's been pretty well balanced, actually. Wemby's only averaging 20.7 points per game. Dylan Harper, 1 point behind him. Outlaw's putting up 17 a game for them. Castle, 14. Avdia, 13. Carter Bryant, 11. So they also have 6 players in double figures. And then Vassell and Sexton are just a little bit lower than that. They've played several players, but I think they will be down to an 8-man rotation here. Assists-wise, Harper's leading that category. No surprise there. Only 8 rebounds a game for Wemby, but he's averaging 3.5 steals. Harper's 2.8. Yeah, these guys get a lot of steals. That's going to be an issue because we kind of struggle with turnovers against regular teams, and this is not a regular team. This is a very talented team. 2.5 blocks for Wemby. Outlaw also getting a block per game. If we're looking at efficiency, Jonathan Outlaw is shooting 55.5% from the field. They're getting over 50% from Avdia, Castle, and Harper. Surprisingly, Wemby's towards the lower end here. Zaire, who won't even play, is pretty low. Colin Sexton isn't great. Neither is Vassell. Those are their off-the-bench options. Although Sexton has been killing it from deep. He doesn't shoot a ton of them, though, to be fair. Outlaw shot really well from deep. Avdia, Carter Bryant. Wemby's really struggled from 3. That's probably why his field goal percentage is so low. Vassell has been even worse, though. So, ultimately, if we're looking for advantages, I have a tough time finding any because if you look at their starting 5, it's going to be Harper, Wemby, Castle, Bryant, and Outlaw. Like, who are you attacking? I think offensively, the attackable guy is Jonathan Outlaw, but the guys we have playing the power forward are Jarris Walker and Paris Webb. That's like probably the one position where we don't have the creation to attack a weaker defender. So I don't know how we're gonna go about attacking that. Looks like they don't always start Outlaw. They don't always start Bryant. They kind of mix things up. Avdia's got some starts. Vassell's got some starts. I imagine it'll be Outlaw and Bryant, though, for the Western Conference Finals, just because I think that lineup has so little in the way of weaknesses. Like, Bryant's not a great playmaker. Outlaw's not a great defender. Castle's not a great shooter. Wemby and Harper can do pretty much everything. So, like, these 3 guys each have a weakness, but they're so good at everything else that I just don't know how we're really going to attack it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun series. Every single time we play the Spurs in the regular season, it comes down to the wire pretty much every time. We have, to be fair, in the regular season, had some good luck beating them in those close games, but the playoffs are a different animal. Last thing I want to do here is let's just see kind of who's leading several categories. So Luka is leading playoff points per game. He had a couple of great games against us, but of course we still vanquished him. Rebounds, Delk has a big lead. Will Burke at 2nd. He was also at 3rd here in terms of points per game. Assists, Yakuchonis leads. Luka at 2. Luka really did everything he could to try and carry, but tied for 5th, Brooke Paul and Ken Nixon. Steals, this is Sar Thompson. I mentioned that he had a streak of 21 steals over 2 games last episode. That was kind of insane. Then Wemby, then Kelly Jamison. Man, these Detroit Pistons, Can really get the Pistons and the Spurs both get a ton of steals, I guess. Blocks, it's Delk. Then Frederick Rodman. Then Jalen Johnson. Ken McDaniels, okay. Then tied for 5th is Wemby and Burke. Will Burke has been the best field goal percent shooter in the playoffs in terms of taking shots. Doncic 1, Cunningham 2, Will Burke 3. Those are the top scorers, so there's not much surprise there. Ken Nixon at 6. In terms of hitting threes, I mean, Max Christie shot a few, hit really good. A lot of these are going to be the teams eliminated in round 1, and they just kind of got hot for a round, I guess. In terms of facing the most shots per game, it's been Jalen Brunson. He's probably, one of the more attackable defenders just by the nature of being 6'2", the 6'4" wingspan, also 33 years old at this point, not at his athletic prime, but facing the second most shots per game in the postseason is Ken Nixon. Cooper Flagg at number 3 faced a ton of shots going up against Ken Nixon. The best plus minus in the postseason is Cade. Then Jared Allen, Carl Matthews, Will Burke in here at 4. So a lot of Pistons here, and so it's no surprise that they end up making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. It'll be interesting to see who makes it from the finals here, but it'll be more interesting to see who ends up facing off against that Eastern Conference opponent. Spurs versus Venom, the first of hopefully many high leverage playoff series between these two teams. I'm excited for it. I hope you are too. That's all I've got for this episode. We'll be back soon with more, and I'll see you then. Fangs out.